Happy Saturday. Welcome back for Pause 26, which is encouraging the unpredictable, which seems to happen when we step sideways. So we're going to dive into that. I'm Robin McClendon. Thank you for coming and hanging out with me here at on my YouTube channel. And this year we've been doing pauses, which is all about art journaling with a purpose. So we've got some purpose going on here where we're flushing out our thinking, we're developing our visual vocabulary and how we use that vocabulary in our art. And yeah, and just also just sort of flushing out life, you know, as a community, because there's quite a bit going on. So let's jump into the pause. I was thinking about the idea of, you know, encouraging mystery or just allowing mystery to happen in our week. And then I thought, mystery's a little bit like magic. And right now, I think it's kind of hard to wrap our minds around like magical or mysterious things, right? Because life has just become very practical. It's very, you know, it's just very pragmatic. It's on survival mode. There's a sea of chaos everywhere. And you're really just trying to get from point A to point B. And you sort of like, I just, when I said that, I had that vision of those old cowboy movies. Remember when they're in the middle of a gunfight or whatever, and they're out in the desert, and one of the gunfighters would hide behind a cactus. And then when he was trying to see if it was clear, he would run from one cactus, you know, like over to the next cactus to hide and then kind of look around it. It's feeling a little bit like those old movies depicting the Wild Wild West. Yeah. Oh my goodness, you just have to laugh sometimes to keep from crying. But so I was thinking, you know, as much as, you know, as much as we spend time in our studio, we're doing our art, we're enjoying that time, we're enjoying community, we're having a lot of fun over here on my channel going through the pauses, I still kind of have a hard time sort of wrapping my mind around things being magical. So then I thought about the pause and thought, how about encouraging the unpredictable? And then I thought that might be something that we all could get behind. Because right now, I feel that the world has become so truncated where, you know, we're global for sure now, right? So every country is experiencing basically the same thing, from war to health precautions to the governmental things, you know, just everything, to environmental. We're all sort of seeing this, we're all kind of confronting this the same way. And so what we hear from our governments, from the news, things like that, are like all sort of the same kind of talking points. So it's very predictable. You know, we're on the precipice of a war. We have to do these certain things to maintain our health. You know, we have to be concerned about the environment and the things that we get to do to make sure that the earth is being managed well and that we are doing our due diligence with her. And so these are all the predictable sort of talking points. But as artists and as creatives, and however you're coming to it as a creative, maybe you're a musician, maybe you've stumbled across my channel and you write, you're a dancer, you're a choreographer. We're all coming at this similarly as creatives. We have the opportunity to bring through sharing our enjoyment, through being able to say things with a different voice, that our ability to connect with those around us in a different way. And I'm suggesting that in order for us to stay fresh and to really be able to channel into our art the things that make us happy, the way we may see the world, and maybe even the way we want to protest. There's nothing wrong with protesting, but maybe doing it in a creative way. And then it got me to thinking about André Masson, who was a surrealist during the turn of the 20th century. where surrealism was sort of like a stance that artists were taking against realism. And realism was, they were in war. It was World War I. Europe was all torn up. These were French painters and artists of the time. And so really surrealism was a term that was a counter term to realism. Like realistically, this is what we're dealing with. And so one thing that Masson did was he started doing what we've come to know as automatic drawing or automatic writing, as a lot of writers will do. And even when you want to write something, sometimes you just put the pencil down and just start letting it go, and you just let a free flow happen. Well, he was doing automatic drawing because he didn't want to control anything. He was actually protesting against the control and the predictability of the world that he found himself living in. He actually did go fight in the war, and he came back pretty badly, injured, and it took him about a year to heal. And during that time, he wanted to use his voice through the arts to channel the way that the climate of Europe and of France during that time period was very controlling, was very, like, this is how you did things, and that was that. And so he wanted to be a voice against that. And so with his automatic drawing, it was his way of protesting against even controlling his hand. Now, many of you who may know how automatic drawing works, you look at an object, and you put the pencil down and you just let your hand move against what your eyes are seeing. You don't look at the page until you're done, which is a really fascinating way to draw. When I've done it, it's just fun what actually manifests from that process. So that's how he drew his memories of war, of death, and the things that came from it. And it was his way of saying, hey, let's try to talk these things out. Let's come to let's mediate. Let's come to agreement. Let's sit down, because what really happens on the battlefield is not pretty. And so his art was about that. And I thought it was appropriate to pay homage to Masson, because he wasn't among the more popular surrealists. When you think of surrealism, you think of Dali, you think of even Picasso, you think of Breton, who actually was considered the father of surrealism. Not so much Masson. So I just wanted to take that opportunity, because I think it's a wonderful thing for us to explore this week. How about let's try doing some automatic writing or drawing. Let's take something outside, of yourself, something in your environment, and just do an automatic drawing. And the whole idea is put it down, don't look at the paper, and just move the pencil or pen until you're done. Now, another person who popularized this, I want to say in the 80s, I think that's when that book was written, Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain, Barbara Edwards' book. Many of you may have it on your bookshelves. I encourage you to go and pull it down. She has a lot of really cool automatic writing and drawing techniques in her book. Well, actually automatic drawing. I think she actually did one called Writing on the Right Side of the Brain as well, but I definitely know she did the drawing one. And she has a lot of, interesting challenges in that book. And if you hadn't heard of it before, you can find it all over the place. Like, you can actually go online and go to Thrift Books or A Books, one of those sites where you get books for $3 or $4 and have it, sent to you, because it's a really good book for those of us who are creatives and you want to experience drawing, or maybe you don't feel like you draw well, I find that I hear that a lot, that people don't think they're an artist just because they can't draw the way they would like to draw. Well, her book is a great one for playing around with and honing in your techniques around drawing. So that's Barbara Edwards, Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain. So this week, during our pauses, as we are encouraging the unpredictable in our studios, in our journals, let's do some try some automatic drawing or writing, whatever your preference is, or both. In between those pauses, in between, you know, the downtime when we're doing other things, you can just even have a scrap piece of paper and a pencil and just literally, you could be in the car waiting for, you know, to pick someone up, you know, just pick it up and look out the window, see a tree or something, and just do it. It's the type of thing that are quick sketches. They're so easy to do, and you might find that it's a new habit that you're enjoying, and you can incorporate that in to those down moments when you're not able to get in the studio, you're not able to work yet, but you still want to stay connected to your art. This is my page. Oh, I really enjoyed creating this. I have an ink blot that's done with some silver paint on a scrap piece of paper that I like to stain on. This panel opened up, and so I did my scripting, which for me is like automatic writing. I love, you guys know I love my scripting, but I sort of just did it very loose and very, I didn't even try to get all the letters down. I just allowed myself to say encouraging the unpredictable and just let it really flow very loosely. I created a pocket here, and in that pocket, I actually had this piece done with this feather sort of hanging around. So I thought I wanted to put that in there because I felt that it was a nice layer. And this is a blot. So just having fun with the process. That is week 26, which is encouraging the unpredictable. And spend some time thinking about Masson's work or surrealism, and maybe even go down the rabbit hole of surrealists and see what your favorite surrealist is. There's a lot. You'd be surprised how many of you would already probably recognize their work, but it's kind of fun to just see how you might connect in a different way this week as we continue on our journey of pausing, of finding those extra special moments in our day and our week, creating our amazing chunky journal, and learning a little bit more about how artists handled, you know, chaos, war, and the extreme aspects of life when we're living in times where where we're confronted by that, and maybe being encouraged by the way they found solutions for creating and for expressing themselves. And also, in some ways, when we can kind of recognize the fact that this is not the first time that this has happened, that others have confronted this, that other artists and movements that we've grown to love actually came out of times of hardship, of depravity, of chaos, of economic, you know, hardships and what have you. And the beauty that we became to know as a particular art form actually was generated out of that. And so it's the idea of how, like, a lotus blossom, you know, will germinate, you know, out of a murky, muddy kind of environment. So maybe thinking of ourselves as lotuses, or some such flower or creation in nature that comes out of sort of a difficult place and yet becomes something beautiful. And that's what we're doing this year with our pauses and our journals. So love you guys. As always, I love your comments. I read them. I respond to them. I find them nourishing. Any questions that you have or anything that you'd like to suggest for me to think about as a part of the pauses, please put it down there. And let me know this week what you think you might challenge yourself to. Automatic drawing or automatic writing. I'd be interested to know what you may challenge yourself. And if you already do it, let me know what you found to be, favorable in your own personal practice around doing these things. So until next week, love you all. Enjoy your week. Enjoy your time in your studio. And really focus in on nurturing yourself. And until then, take care. Bye-bye.